Welcome to the deep dive. You shared the Phoenix project with us,
hmm
and well, I have to say, it's a wild ride through the world of IT.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's a popular novel because it feels very real to people who've experienced similar chaos in their own IT departments.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. And we're going to be extracting some key insights from the book, specifically about IT operations,
Okay.
leadership challenges, and the absolute necessity of
Oh.
teamwork and refining those processes.
Yeah.
So picture this, your Bill,
Mm.
and you've just been unexpectedly promoted to VP of IT operations at Parts Unlimited.
Uh-huh.
The previous CIO and his boss were just fired,
Yeah.
and now you're in the hot seat.
Right.
Knowing the high turnover rate in this position,
Oh, yeah.
did you hesitate?
Bill's hesitation is understandable. I mean, it's like being asked to captain a ship that's already taking on water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the CEO, Steve Masters, is desperate. He's
Mm.
practically begging Bill to save the company.
Oh, wow.
Talk about pressure. And as if that wasn't enough, Bill walks right into a full-blown crisis on day one.
A payroll outage
Yes.
affecting all hourly employees.
Ugh.
Not only is this a huge technical problem, but it also has serious legal and financial implications.
Right. This CFO's breathing down Bill's neck to fix it immediately.
Of course, yeah.
So this incident reveals that the problems run much deeper than just a technical glitch.
Right.
What does this tell us about the state of Parts Unlimited?
Well, this kind of outage exposes the cracks in an organization.
Hmm.
It tells you that there are deeper issues with communication, collaboration, and processes.
Uh-huh.
Parts Unlimited is a classic example of a company operating in silos.
Let's break that down.
Okay.
Bill discovers that development, security, and operations are practically at war with each other.
Yeah.
Each department has its own priorities, and they're not exactly playing nice.
Well, think of it like this.
Okay.
Development is focused on building new features quickly.
Right.
Security is all about minimizing risk, and operations is trying to keep everything running smoothly.
Right.
Without a shared vision and aligned objectives, conflict is inevitable.
Yeah, it's like each team is speaking a different language.
Right.
And then there's Brent,
Right, yeah.
a brilliant engineer who becomes a major bottleneck.
Right.
Everyone relies on him, which creates massive delays.
Yeah.
What are the dangers of having a hero figure like Brent?
Well, Brent's a classic example of a constraint in the system.
Okay.
While his technical skills are invaluable, relying too heavily on one person creates a single point of failure.
Right.
If Brent gets sick or, heaven forbid, leaves the company, everything grinds to a halt.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, Parts Unlimited's change management process is practically non-existent. Bill tries to introduce some order, but he faces pushback, especially from longtime employees like Wes.
Right.
What do you make of their resistance to change?
Well, change is often met with resistance, particularly in environments that are used to doing things a certain way. Wes's pushback is understandable. He might see the new processes as bureaucratic hurdles that slow things down.
Yeah.
However, the lack of proper change management is a major risk, especially for a large project like the Phoenix project.
So the Phoenix project is the company's big bet.
Okay.
And despite warnings from Bill and his team, the launch is an absolute disaster.
Oh.
The website crashes, credit card information is leaked, and Parts Unlimited is facing a PR nightmare.
Wow, the Phoenix Project fiasco is a textbook example of what happens when you neglect operational considerations.
Yeah.
Rushing to meet deadlines without addressing underlying technical debt and process deficiencies can have catastrophic consequences.
Right.
It really underscores the importance of considering the operational risks associated with any IT project.
So Bill is at his wit's end.
Oh, yeah.
He feels completely unsupported and undermined by Steve, leading to his temporary resignation.
Oh, wow.
How can leaders like Steve avoid creating this kind of toxic environment?
Well, Steve's initial approach is a cautionary tale. Leaders need to foster open communication, trust their teams, and avoid micromanaging.
Right.
Creating a culture of blame only leads to fear and silence, which ultimately hinders progress.
This brings us to a turning point in the story.
Okay.
Steve realizes he messed up
Yeah.
and makes a genuine effort to mend fences with Bill and the IT leadership team.
Good.
He even brings in Erik, an outsider with expertise in manufacturing operations, to help turn things around.
Interesting.
Erik's introduction is significant because he represents a fresh perspective.
Okay.
He brings in principles from lean manufacturing and the theory of constraints,
Right.
which will challenge the team to think about their work in a completely different way.
Yeah.
So how exactly can lean manufacturing principles be applied to IT? I mean, we're not building cars here.
Well, the core principles of lean are surprisingly universal.
Okay.
It's all about identifying and eliminating waste, streamlining processes, and creating a culture of continuous improvement.
And what about this theory of constraints? Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so imagine a bottleneck on a highway.
Okay.
The flow of traffic is limited by that single point of congestion.
I see.
The theory of constraints says that to improve the overall system, you need to identify and focus on improving that bottleneck.
Okay.
In the case of Parts Unlimited, the biggest constraint is Brent.
So to fix their IT problems, they need to figure out a way to either make Brett work faster or find a way to share his knowledge with others.
Exactly, and that's precisely where Erik's guidance will come in.
Okay.
He'll help them implement lean principles, address the constraint around Brent, and ultimately transform the entire IT department. But that's a story for part 2 of our deep dive.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part. We've seen how siloed operations, poor communication, and a lack of proper processes can lead to major IT disasters.
Yeah.
We've also learned about the importance of strong leadership embracing change and the potential of applying lean principles to IT.
We've also seen that recognizing and addressing the biggest constraint in a system is crucial for improvement.
Yep.
In the next part, we'll delve deeper into the specific solutions Parts Unlimited implements and explore how they ultimately achieve a remarkable transformation.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into the Phoenix Project, where we'll uncover more valuable lessons and practical insights that you can apply to your own work.
So picking up where we left off, Bill's facing a difficult choice.
Okay.
Steve, the CEO, has offered him the COO position.
Wow.
A huge leap for someone with a purely IT background.
Yeah, that's a big jump. It shows how much Steve's view of IT has shifted.
Right.
He now sees it as a strategic part of the business, not just a cost center.
It's a crucial realization for any organization. IT isn't just about keeping the lights on anymore.
Right.
It's about enabling and driving the core objectives of the business.
So does Bill take the leap?
He does, but it comes with a catch.
Okay.
An intensive 3-year training program to get him ready for the COO role.
Wow.
It's a testament to Bill's dedication to continuous learning and pushing his boundaries.
That's great to see, especially since they're still working on the IT transformation.
Right.
And speaking of the transformation, Brent's still a major constraint,
Yeah.
but now it's not just about his technical skills.
Right. His inability to delegate or document his work is becoming the real bottleneck.
Oh.
This is common. Those hero figures can actually mask deeper problems in the system.
Yeah, it's like they're stuck in a cycle of relying on Brent to save the day, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So what's the solution?
Well, they get strategic. Instead of trying to make Brent work faster, they create a level 3 resource pool.
Okay,
A team of skilled engineers trained to handle the issues Brent typically tackles.
that's smart. It's about spreading the knowledge and building capacity, not just relying on one person.
Exactly. It's a fundamental shift in how they approach the constraint. But remember, change isn't easy.
Right.
People are used to going straight to Brent, so breaking that habit takes effort.
Yeah, it reminds us that changing behavior and culture can be just as tough as implementing technical solutions.
Absolutely requires constant communication, reinforcement, and a healthy dose of patience.
Right.
But speaking of changing processes,
Yeah.
let's not forget about their chaotic change management system.
Oh, yeah, it was a mess.
Remember how much trouble that caused?
They were practically flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah.
How did they tackle that beast?
Well, they finally take Erik's advice to heart and apply those lean principles we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
They start focusing on creating a smooth and predictable flow of work, eliminating unnecessary steps, and making the impact of each change clear.
So it's about introducing order and clarity into a previously chaotic process.
Precisely. And Patty, who's now in charge of process improvement, comes up with a brilliant idea.
Okay.
She proposes creating a visual representation of the change management process, something like a Kanban board.
Wait, like those boards with sticky notes that you see in project management?
Yes, it's a simple but powerful technique to visualize work track progress and identify bottlenecks. It creates transparency and accountability.
So they can actually see where things are getting stuck and make adjustments. That's brilliant. And does it work?
It's a game changer for Parts Unlimited. They see huge improvements in efficiency and fewer incidents caused by poorly planned changes. But as we know, things rarely stay calm for long in IT.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
What's the next fire they have to put out?
Remember the Phoenix project, the one that launched so disastrously?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out the database conversion wasn't done correctly, and now they're facing a major accounting nightmare.
Oh, no.
Missing transactions, potential financial losses.
That's bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
How do they even begin to unravel this one?
Well, this incident really drives home the point that IT and the business are intertwined.
Right.
Even a small technical error can have massive consequences for the entire organization. But here's the thing, they're much better equipped to handle this crisis now.
They've come a long way since that initial payroll outage.
Exactly. Their improved incident management process is put to the test.
Okay.
Clear communication, documentation, methodical problem solving is
Yeah.
all coming
Right.
together.
Yeah. It's a testament to the value of all the changes they've implemented. But I'm guessing it's still incredibly stressful, right?
Absolutely. Tensions run high, especially between Bill and Steve.
Okay.
Steve, in his typical fashion, demands immediate solutions and micromanages the team.
Yeah.
And what does Bill do?
Knowing Bill, he probably gets frustrated and walks out again.
You know him too well.
Yeah.
And that's precisely what happens. Bill quits again.
Oh, wow.
This ongoing conflict between them highlights a common tension, the pressure to deliver results versus the need for careful, deliberate problem solving.
It seems like one step forward, two steps back at this point. You have to wonder if all this effort is even worth it.
That's a valid question, but the Phoenix Project ultimately argues that the journey toward improvement is valuable,
Right.
even with bumps along the road, and there's a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
What does Steve do after Bill quits?
Let me guess, he realizes he was wrong, apologizes to Bill, and begs him to come back.
Spot on. He acknowledges his mistakes, extends a sincere apology, and admits he needs to trust Bill and his team. It's a crucial moment for rebuilding that fractured trust. So will Bill return?
I'm going to say yes. He's invested too much to walk away completely. Plus, it sounds like Steve's finally starting to get it.
You're right, Bill does come back, and with the relationship on better footing,
Good.
they can work together more effectively to tackle the remaining challenges. It's a new chapter for Parts Unlimited,
Right.
one where collaboration and trust are finally starting to take root.
This is a great place to pause and reflect. We've seen Parts Unlimited tackle some serious issues, from technical debt to process breakdowns.
They've had their setbacks, but they're learning and adapting. It's a reminder that transformation is a process, not a one-time event.
So what happens next? Do they manage to fix that accounting nightmare? And how does Bill prepare for his future role as COO? Join us for the final part of our deep dive into the Phoenix Project, where we'll discover the ultimate impact of their transformation journey. So we left off with Parts Unlimited facing that accounting nightmare caused by the botched Phoenix Project database conversion. It's a make-or-break moment for them.
It really underscores how seemingly small technical oversights can have huge ripple effects on the entire business.
Right. But thankfully, they now have a secret weapon.
Oh,
John, the CISO,
okay.
who has finally connected the dots between IT risks and business risks.
Right.
He's no longer just the security guy, but a strategic partner.
His transformation is a prime example of breaking down silos.
Yeah.
He teams up with Dick, the CFO, and they start speaking the same language.
Good.
No more technical jargon. It's all about business impact.
I love that shift. Instead of just throwing security protocols at the problem, John's explaining things in a way that Dick and the rest of the business can understand.
Right. They go a step further and create a document that maps out key business processes, the related IT systems, and potential risks and controls.
Okay.
Think of it like a blueprint for aligning IT with the business.
Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So they're building a bridge between two worlds that often struggle to communicate.
Exactly. It becomes a powerful tool for decision-making. They use it to navigate a tough audit streamline compliance and demonstrate to the board that IT is now a valuable asset, not a liability.
So they're proving that IT can be a driver of business success, not just a cost center.
Absolutely. And remember, Bill, who's now on track to become COO,
Yeah.
he has a pivotal realization while working with Patty and Wes to prioritize projects.
I'm curious what clicks for him this time.
He finally internalizes Erik's lesson about focusing on the constraint.
Okay.
They realize that instead of trying to do everything they need to identify the projects that directly impact their bottleneck, which is still Brent.
So it's all about prioritizing for maximum impact, not just doing more work.
Exactly. They shift from a do more mindset to a do the right things mindset.
Okay.
It's a subtle but profound change, and this approach extends beyond individual projects.
Right.
They apply it to their entire IT operation.
So how do they apply this constraint-focused thinking on a larger scale?
Well, they streamline deployments, implement automation where possible, and bake quality and security into everything from the start.
This sounds a lot like the DevOps principles we hear so much about these days.
It is by embracing collaboration, automation, and continuous improvement, they're able to move faster and smarter while also improving quality and stability.
It's like they've cracked the code, to having it all.
Yeah.
Speed, quality, and stability all at the same time. What's the impact on the business?
Well, the results speak for themselves. Customer satisfaction goes up, revenue increases, and even Dick, the CFO, becomes a believer in the power of IT.
That's quite a turnaround. It really shows how powerful this transformation has been, not just for the IT department, but for the entire company.
The Phoenix Project beautifully illustrates how seemingly small changes, when implemented consistently with a focus on the constraint, can lead to dramatic system-wide improvement.
But the story doesn't end with a perfect happily ever after, does it?
You're right, it ends with a hint that the journey is far from over. Continuous improvement is an ongoing process, and there will always be new challenges and opportunities.
So what can we, the listeners, take away from all this?
The Phoenix Project urges us to question our assumptions, challenge the status quo, and embrace a more holistic, collaborative approach to problem solving. It reminds us that real success comes from building systems and processes that enable everyone to thrive, not just relying on individual heroes.
And it encourages us to think bigger beyond the technical aspects of our work. How can we use our skills to contribute to the overall success of the business? That's a question worth pondering.
Before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. What are the constraints in your own work or personal life? How can you apply the principles of the goal, like identifying and addressing those constraints to achieve greater efficiency and fulfillment?
That's an excellent question to consider. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reach out with any questions or insights. And until next time, happy deep diving.